If you're a real estate agent that's setting and going on listing appointments, but not converting at least 60-70% of the appointments they're going on, then this video is for you, because I am going to reveal to you my 4-step listing presentation framework that I call the W.I.N.N WINN Framework, that will have you converting 80 to 90% of the listing appointments you go on. Not only that, mastering this process is going to allow you to become way more courageous in taking the actions you need to take every single day, so you could set more listing appointments and, yes, of course, convert more of those appointments into listings taken. So let's dive in. And we're going to begin by talking about what is more important than the listing presentation. What is more important than the listing presentation is what you actually do prior to the listing presentation to set yourself up to win the listing presentation that you are about to go on. So if you don't have a system that you follow for what it is that you say and what it is that you do prior to going on a listing appointment, then chances are you are going to miss out on a lot of opportunities for listings that you could have gotten to where they're going to end up listing with someone else. So this video today is all about the win strategy. Last week's video was all about the deal strategy, the DEAL framework for what it is that you need to be doing before you go on a listing presentation. So the link to that video is in the description below. So make sure you watch that video when you're done watching this video. Now, I want to begin by sharing a little story with you of why I love the mastery of the listing presentation more than anything else. You see, when I first got involved in real estate many years ago, I was hungry, I was driven, I wanted to win. I wanted to just make it in the business. And I did just about anything and everything that, my broker and manager at the time told me to do. And what they told me to do is to just make a ton of phone calls. And if I made enough phone calls, I would find, some people that say, yeah, I want to sell the home. And then I'd be able to go get the listing, and then I'd be able to do an open house on it. And, like this grand ordeal of what it would be like to be a top listing agent. So of course, I picked up the phone, I made the calls. And I kid you not, I made about 2,000 calls before I set my first listing appointment. And when I set that listing appointment, I was doing backflips. That's how excited I was. And immediately that excitement was followed by fear, the fear of what the heck do I do when I go on that listing appointment? Yeah, they've taught me how to fill out the paperwork. I know how to fill out the paperwork. But what if they ask me questions about this? Or what if they ask me questions about that? Or what if they give me this one thing that everybody talks about that you get on listing appointments called, objections, and I don't know how to handle the objections, stuff like that. So you see the scenarios that I was running in my head. But you know what? I was determined. So here's what I did. I just got the courage, got in my car. I drove to that listing appointment, got there. I sat in my car, looked at the door, and I said, there's no way you can do this. Turned on the car and drove away. Never showed up to that listing appointment because I did not know how to do a listing presentation. But here's the beauty. When I mastered how to do the listing presentation without even working on the mastery of setting appointments, I began to magically set listing appointments left and right. Why? Because all of a sudden, I had confidence in my listing ability. And that confidence turned into courage on the phones to make that extra one call, to ask that one extra question. And that led me to more listing appointments that I knew I could convert beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, fast forward to about a year after that when I moved to the state of California. In the state of California, where I knew absolutely no one, I worked my tail off. Day number one, prospected all day. I set an appointment that day, and the next evening went on that appointment and turned that appointment into a listing taken from someone I've never met, I never knew, with zero track record in the state of California. That's how powerful the WINN framework is for doing this kind of a listing presentation. So without further ado, let's talk about my 4-step framework on how to do a winning listing presentation, and we'll begin with the W. So step number 1 is the W. What does the W stand for? It stands for win trust while previewing the property. Win trust while previewing the property. Obviously, you are going to knock on the door. They are going to greet you. You're going to have a little bit of a chit chat, and I'm not going to give you the full on script for how to say, hi, how are you? How you doing? I'm super excited about the opportunity to get your home sold today, etc. You're going to take the tour. Now, while taking the tour, it's critically important for you to do 2 things. Number 1, you're working on building rapport. Working on getting that person to feel like they've known you forever. Working on that person to get them to feel like who you are is a team member, a family member, etc. Why do we want to do that? Because when we do that, we break down the walls of resistance. And when you break down the walls of resistance, there's no more pushback. There's only invitation, which is the opposite of resistance. 9 out of 10 people watching this video right now have been taught to build rapport in the most ineffective way that absolutely does not work in 2026. You've been trained while you're touring the property, look for something that you have in common with these people. And I'm here to tell you that common interest does not build rapport. Common behavior is what builds rapport. Let me give you guys an example. Just because, you have like a little, cute, Shih Tzu dog or poodle dog or whatever. I have like a multi Shih Tzu. So yes, we both share, the love for that little animal. That's what we have in common. But just because we have that in common, it doesn't mean that I am going to like you and or you are going to like me. It doesn't mean that I am going to trust you and or you are going to trust me just because we both like dogs. Now, when I'm speaking about common behavior, I'm talking about you mimicking their rate of speech. I'm talking about you mimicking their tonality. I'm talking about you mirror and matching their body language and gestures. I'm talking about mimicking, mirror, matching their energy levels. And I know for a lot of you watching this video, this like totally flew right over your head. And that topic on how to build rapport is another 30 to 60 minute video that we need to create on this channel so I could go deep on teaching you how to do that. So if you want me to create that video, leave a comment below this video by saying rapport, and I'll go ahead and make sure that we create that video for you. So there's another thing that we are going to be doing while we are touring the property. What we want to do is we want to begin to start using strong language patterns. And what I did in the previous video, we talked about the use of assumptive language patterns. So I want you to use assumptive language patterns, and I'll give you a couple right now that you need to write down and use on your next listing presentation. While you're walking around the property, I want you to say something along the line of this to the seller. Mr. Seller, obviously nobody knows this home better than you do. What do you think are some of the things that I should highlight in my marketing when you list your home with me this evening? I want you to rewind and listen to that one more time. Go ahead, pause and rewind to what I said, and let's see if you could pick up on the language patterns that I was using. I said, Mr. Seller, obviously nobody knows this home better than you do. So what are some of the things that you feel I should highlight in my marketing when you list your home with me this evening? See, I'm speaking as if they've already decided that they are going to work with me. I'm speaking as if we are a team. I'm asking him a question where he's going to respond as a team member. And that's the power of assumptive language patterns. And that is the power that we need to be using every step of the way as we are touring the property. There's a lot more than that you could do. Now, the next thing that we are going to do, okay, so we already addressed the W. The next part of the framework is the I, and the I stands for ignite the why. To ignite the why, We're talking about removing the conversation from, just all about dollars and cents and selling and, yeah, I want to, basic stuff moving and stuff like that. What I want to do, I already know that this decision is most likely going to be either a logical decision or it is going to be an emotional decision. Look, psychologically speaking, I can't control the logic. The logic is the data. It is what it is. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Psychologically speaking, I could impact the emotion. So what I want to do is I want to get that seller to tap into the emotion of why they want to sell their home. And I kind of worked with you on that in the previous video. So make sure you watch the deal framework video, and the link again is in the description below. So here's what I'm doing. I'm sitting down and I'm saying, Mr. Seller, tell me again, what is important to you about selling this home? Like, I want to spend time talking about this. I'm not like, what is important to you about selling this home? And, they're going to say something along the line of like, I need a bigger home, maybe. Let's just go with that example. I need a bigger home. Now, for most average agents, that's it. They just heard that this person wants a bigger home and, they think that that person is not motivated and that person's going to list with them and all that good stuff. But no, there's more to it than that. See, that's what average people do. And average people are listing like literally 35% of the appointments they go on, and that's it. And the above average agents who are using this WINN framework on a listing presentation are listing 80-90% of the appointments they go on. Okay. So again, I say, what is important to you about selling this home? And they say, well, I need a bigger home. Now, what I follow up with, so tell me, Mr. Seller, what will living in a bigger home do for you? Look at the way I'm looking at you in the camera right now. Like, I'm really that interested. Mr. Seller, I'm just curious, like, what will living in a bigger home do for you? And I just want to listen. I want to listen to what they're going to say. This is where he's going to tell me something like, my family is growing. Or a perfect example, and this happened to me in real life, where the seller said, our daughter is having a baby. So we're going to be grandparents and we want them to be able to come and, visit us and spend time with us so we can build memories. So now it's not about just, I want a bigger home. Now we're going like, I want a bigger home because I'm about to become a grandparent. And I want to be like the best grandma or grandpa that I can possibly be for my grandchildren. I want to support my daughter, etc. See, this is an uncommon conversation, and I'm going to come back and talk about that word uncommon. Even though this like lets you know, like you can tell based on this scenario, this person is like, they have a why. Like they absolutely want to do this. But see, I don't stop there. I need to go further. This is where I get to say, and wow, well, hey, congratulations. So ultimately, what will buying the home and having your daughter and grandchildren be able to visit you more often, ultimately, what will all of that do? Ultimately, what will all of that do? And now they're going to describe what day-to-day is going to look like, what day-to-day is going to feel like. And so much is going to come out of it. Now, let me ask you a question. And I want you to tell me in the comments below. Is this a common conversation or is this an uncommon conversation? Just in the comment below right now. I want you to just write down common or uncommon. It doesn't matter which one you choose because we're going to talk about both of those. So I'm going to ask you another question. And you don't have to answer this question. You just have to answer it in your head. Is taking one or more listings a week a common result or an uncommon result? You and I both know the answer to that. The average agent in this country does one deal every quarter, 4 deals a year. Taking one or more listings a week is an uncommon result. So if you want the uncommon result, you gotta learn how to have this uncommon kind of conversation to ignite their why. So that's the I in the WINN framework on how to list more property in less time. Now, we move on to step number 3, and the N stands for nail the number. Nail the number. So look, you've done part 1, you've done the pre-work, you've showed up to the listing presentation, you're touring the property, you're building rapport, you've ignited the why. But if you don't get the number right, they might still list with you. and it's going to be a listing at the wrong price. Now, you tell me what happens when you take a listing at the wrong price. We both know what happens. And then there's another thing that happens that you might not be aware of that I'm going to share with you. The danger of taking overpriced listings. So when you take an overpriced listing, number one, you're going to have to make that uncomfortable freaking damn call every single week to the sellers. You know, reduce the price, reduce the price, reduce the price. And then you're going to experience the uncomfortable conversation that they're going to have with you every single week of why can't you sell my home? And then you are definitely going to spend money on photography, you know, videography, maybe staging, you know, and some kind of marketing and time and energy and effort and, you know, a bunch of stuff. And you might get people on a property, but everybody's going to say the same exact thing. This property is definitely overpriced. You're not going to get the offers. See, there's another danger that you might be unaware of. And that danger is negative marketing. That danger is negative branding. Basically, if your sign is going to be in front of that door for the next 30, 60, 90, 120, or 180 days, and that sign never gets that sticker that says sold on it, you know what that means? You've just spent all that time advertising yourself to all the neighbors and everyone that drives up and down that street as someone who cannot get a listing sold. So what is that doing to your brand awareness? What is that doing to your brand image? What is that doing to your mindset carrying a listing for 3 to 6 months? And the end result is we are in the red. So that's why point number 3 is so critically important. And I call it nail the number. So how do we nail the number? When almost every single seller, their number one goal is to, hey, I want the most amount of money I can possibly get. And a lot of times they want a number that is like north of what the market is willing to pay. So how do we bring these people to the reality of getting that property priced correctly? Is it in the data that we show them? Is it in the comps that we come up with? Is it in the images that we show them? My response is yes and a big no. It's a yes followed by a big no. Not enough. Because you can show them all the data in the world. It doesn't mean that they are going to understand the data. It doesn't mean that they are going to be able to process the data. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to read the data. That's your job. So it's not about what it is that you are going to show them during the pricing part of the presentation. It's going to be all about the education that you are giving them to make it a no-brainer to choose the right price the first time around. So here's what I want you to do for every single listing appointment you go on. I mean, I'm a visual person. I got to write it as I'm saying it. So here's what you do. I want you to select 3 active comps. 3 active comps. Okay, no brainer. Okay. I want you to select 2 to 3 pending comps. And then I want you to select 3 closed transactions that comp. So we're talking about, 8 to 9 properties. And again, you're not just going to get this and say, here, let me show you, these are the numbers and, you should be somewhere between A, B, and C. No, it's all going to be in how you are communicating that. So with the actives, we got to use strong language patterns, okay? And before you even begin to go over the pricing part of the presentation, you gotta have a way to transition from what we were talking about, the why, into the numbers. And the way that I would do that is this. Mr. Seller, as the agent that you have selected to represent you, I went ahead and created what we call a comparative market analysis. And I'll stop right here. I don't need to give you the entire script, but I want you to see what I did. I said, as the agent that you have selected to represent you, remember, they haven't selected me yet. It's their first time meeting me, but I'm speaking as they've already selected me. I'm planting that thought in their mind. Remember, since I knocked on the door, since before I even knocked on the door, since the day I set the appointment with them, I've been planting the seeds in their mind that we are going to work together. That's why nailing the number is going to be super easy and effective for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 3 pendings. Now, I'm not saying, Mr. Seller, look, here's property number 1 at 123 Banana Street. It's right around the corner from you. It has that many bedrooms. It has that many baths. If that's what you're doing, that's what I just did to you. I'm already, like, you're already checking out. The way to do it is this. So, Mr. Seller, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what we call, as real estate agents, what is active right now around your neighborhood, which means, whoever's going to see your home is most likely going to see those homes. I don't like to call them just the word active. I like to call them competition. And before we go over the data of who it is that we are competing with, I'm just curious, why do you think it's important for us to really understand who is our competition? I'm not telling them, I'm asking them. I want them to say, because, well, if we know what we're up against, we could literally better position ourselves to get these buyers to buy, our home versus the competition. That's what I want them to say. And remember, this whole entire presentation is revolved around asking questions, not making statements. Why do we do it this way? Because here's what we know. Psychology says that most people almost never ever believe what you say, but they will almost always believe what they say. How can I get them to say it? Instead of me telling it, how can I get them to say it? So I'm going to say, all right, so let's take a look at property number 1. How many bedrooms does it have? Well, it has 3 bedrooms. They're going to say 3 bedrooms. And I say, just like yours, right? They're going to say, right. Okay. And what's the square footage? And they're going to say, well, it looks like this one, 2,716 square footage. I'm going to go, so that appears to be about 159 square feet bigger than ours. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm comparing it to their property. And there's a reason for that. And I'll just fast forward. I don't need to go through every single point, the updates and all that good stuff. You want to be asking as much questions as you possibly can. And then I get to say, so this one is, almost 200 square feet bigger than yours. And it has an updated kitchen, which we don't. And it looks like they've done a lot of work on the landscaping, which you haven't. What are they asking for this property? Oh, well, they're asking $799. Okay, fantastic. So they're asking $799,000. And I got a question for you. Look at this thing right here where it says DOM. Do you know what DOM stands for? Most people don't know what DOM stands for. So this gives you the opportunity to express it this way. And you're going to say, well, DOM stands for days on the market. If you ask a real estate agent, what does DOM stand for? They're going to say days on the market. By the way, how many days has this one been on the market? They've been on the market for, 47 days. Wow. 47 days. Do you know what this means, Mr. Seller? Oh, well, I guess, nobody wants it. No, it means this. It means that their agent did everything he or she can possibly do to bring in as many buyers into this home and as many agents into this home. And you know what? Every buyer, and you know what every agent said when they came into that home? What do you think they said? And I will pause. What is the obvious thing that they said? You know what this seller is going to tell me? They're going to say it's priced too high. And I'm going to say, I agree. So clearly you're beginning to notice that $799 is the wrong price. Do you see what I'm doing? So I'm going to do the actives that way. And then I'm going to get to another active, the one that's closest to them. And I would say, well, have you driven by that property? Have you been inside that property? And they're going to say no. And I'm going to say, hold on, let me make a note right here that I need to set an appointment for us to go look at it together when you list your home with me this evening. So that way we can make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. Fair enough? I'm already speaking yeah, we are going to transact together. I am your agent and I'm scheduling another appointment. I'm going to be doing this. Guys, this is the key to winning the listing presentation. It's the delivery. It's not your freaking damn brochure. It's not your iPad. It's not your PowerPoint presentation. It's not your marketing plan. And I'm going to prove that to you in a minute. So you're going to do your 3 actives. You're going to do your, 2 to 3 pendings. Then you're going to do your, 2 to 3 sales. And then you're going to say this, Mr. Seller, based on everything I shared with you so far this evening, what is the price that you feel would be the right price to get the next real buyer to buy your home versus the competition? Then I'm going to shut up. That's it. I've given them this education. I've already led them to the right price. And I'm telling you right now, 99 out of 100, meaning 99% of the people are going to pick a different price than the one they thought they could get. And that's going to get you a listing that is going to 99% of the time sell in 30 days or less, regardless of market conditions. So that was step number 3. So we said step number 1, W for win, which we said win trust and toward a property. And step number 2, we said ignite the why, activate the emotion. And then we said step number 3, nail the number. And we just nailed the number right now. So what is step number 4? What is step number 4? Navigate a yes. Navigate a yes. How do I get them to say, yes, I want to work with you? Look, if you've done everything that I've told you to do up to this point, you're not going to talk about no marketing. You're not going to get any objections, zip, zilch, nada. All you're going to do is you're going to say, Mr. Seller, based on everything I shared with you so far, what do you think would actually happen when you hire me? Again, pick up on the language patterns. Mr. Seller, based on everything I shared with you so far, what do you think would actually happen when you hire me? And then I'm going to shut up. And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, well, it appears like, you really know exactly what it is that you're talking about. And, I feel confident that you are A, B, and C, and D, and E, F, G, and all that good stuff. And then you're going to say, I agree. So here's what I am going to do. I am going to make sure that I have my photographer be here sometime in the next 48 hours. And just so I know, would it be best for him to, like, let's say today's Monday, would it be best for him to come like maybe, Monday, in the AM hours or PM hours? What would be better? And they're going to say the PM hours. You say, perfect. I'll go ahead and make a note right here. By the way, let's go ahead and fill out the paperwork and make this official. I promise you, if you do exactly what I told you to do using this WINN framework, you are going to win 80+% of the listing appointments that you are going to go on. And that is the 4 steps. Now, again, I'm going to repeat. If you didn't watch the deal framework for what it is that you need to do before you go on this appointment, they're going to link it up right here or right here. My team will do that. There's a card, click it, go watch that video so you can have the complete 8-step framework instead of just 4 steps of the framework. Again, I know like I threw a lot at you, but there's one thing. If you absolutely want to take this to the next level, and if you absolutely want to get to the point to where you are just taking more listings, then I want to invite you to one of my upcoming virtual masterclasses. And we do at least 2 of those every single month. And you can get the details in the description below. And this is where I am going to teach you how to get 1 or more listings every single week. Again, as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope I earned you clicking the like. I hope that you've already taken the time to subscribe to our channel. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.